I do think that they're the best team in that division, even with the Burrow injury.
Thank you. Colin, you just threw. Thank you.
Have you ever wanted a podcast that did it all? Sports, politics, world events. Well, you have come to the right place, because you are listening to C&C Talks.
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie.
And welcome to the C&C Talks podcast. This is episode 28 of season 2.
Yeah, and just a reminder, as we do every week, we release every Wednesday, and we talk about politics, world events, and sports. It's currently Wednesday, September 5th, 2023, at about 8:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep, and coming up on this episode, well, we'll talk about Elon Musk's threatening to sue the Anti-Defamation League for defamation. We'll talk about what's been a pretty big COVID surge throughout the country, all the stuff going on around the world, and some more catastrophic weather events that we'll talk about. Putin, Kim Jong-un be meeting, talk some college football, talk some tennis, which I'm sure Charlie will love. We'll talk some Formula One,
tennis!
I'm sure I will love. And then make sure to stay tuned for the end of the show, because we're going to try something fun, Charlie, with our NFL preview this year and really throughout the season. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that at the end of the show. But let's kick off this episode.
All right, let's get right into it. Elon Musk is suing might sue the Anti-Defamation League for defamation. How does that work?
So it's a threat. Now, given the unlikelihood that he'll win the lawsuit, which he probably knows, he will probably won't actually carry out the lawsuit. We'll see. Maybe he will. It would be dumb of him, but maybe he will.
Musk.
It is Musk. But so basically his argument is that the Anti-Defamation League called Twitter, now X, the anti-Semitic. To be fair, they have a point. Under Elon Musk's leadership, I guess you could call it, hate speech has been given a much bigger platform than it has in the past. So the Anti-Defamation League did say that X was anti-Semitic. Musk doesn't like that. He's now saying that it's responsible for the loss of half of the company's valuation, which means that he's saying that it was that they are liable for $22 billion, Charlie, which is ridiculous.
And of course, I also wanted to comment, Elon Musk has not started his own country yet, but it would not surprise me if he ends up doing that.
It's, Charlie, I think that the bigger point here, though, is less about the actual lawsuit, more about him continuing to stoke this hatred towards the Anti-Defamation League and honestly stoke anti-Semitism. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think we have to be careful about, of course, not also committing defamation against Elon Musk, because I wouldn't put him past him to sue a podcast with 150 subscribers. But yeah, so we have to be careful about that. But what we do know is there has been a rise in anti-Semitism on that platform. That it's clear by the data. You can just you can see it right there, plain as day. But apparently that's something that you're not supposed to say. So Musk might sue him.
Yeah, and let's also point out there have been many other things that have led to X losing its money. First of all, it was never actually worth $44 billion. Musk bought it for that for some unknown reason. But then he continually made poor business decisions that led advertisers to leave the platform, that led a lot of people to leave the platform. For example, changing the name to X, or the whole rate limit thing, or getting rid of verified people and instead creating Twitter Blue, which is now known as X Premium. Definitely a great name. It doesn't have any other implications with it. These are all things that destroy a company, and being called anti-Semitic by the Anti-Defamation League is not one of them.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Now let's move on to our other political story for today before we get into our packed world events section, where COVID is on the rise yet again. Colin, why is this?
It's a good question as to why it's on the rise. Possibly a new variant. But one thing is clear: cases are way up. Good news, Charlie. Patients and deaths still relatively low. So we'll always keep that in mind. And ultimately, right, if COVID's always going to be around, as it looks like it is, it ends up like the flu or like the common cold or whatever. And it's not great, but that's a lot better than what it was many years ago.
Yes, and seeing a
right.
surge this time of year, given what we know about diseases like the flu, it would not surprise me to see spikes in
absolutely.
numbers as we head into the winter.
No, that 100% makes sense. But yeah, one thing is clear: it's on the rise. Republican lawmakers, of course, denying it, saying it's just Democrats trying to get people to go back into lockdowns, put on masks. No one's suggesting that. Wearing a mask is not a bad idea. I do not necessarily think that masking is mandatory. I don't see a huge disadvantage to masking though. So we'll see. We'll see how much bigger this wave of COVID gets, and I don't make smart health decisions.
Yes, do not. If you're listening to this, please do not die of COVID.
And also, please do not take ivermectin. That would be dumb. It's for horses.
Well, first up in our world events section, there is a meeting currently going on, I believe, between Putin and Kim Jong-un. I believe going on by the time we release this. Russia now in desperate need of weapons, continuing to fight that war in Ukraine. Now they're having to get some weapons back from North Korea, as well as I imagine there will also be just some talks about regular diplomacy as well.
Yeah, Charlie, you know that your country is in a really dark place in a war when you're begging for North Korea to give you their weapons.
Yes, weapons that you gave them in the first place.
Correct. This war has been an absolute disaster for Putin. And Charlie, we've discussed it time and time again. There's no clear end in sight because, well, it's not like Putin's going to give up. Obviously, Ukraine doesn't want to cede territory. And Putin's not going to give up because it would be embarrassing. And,
oh, absolutely.
But what can he do? He can't move forward.
We're stuck. The war is stuck. And there's not much we can do. Ukraine continues to try to break through the Russian defense lines in the south of the country. The progress there is very difficult. So the counteroffensive is moving very slowly.
Yeah, but I mean, so is the Russian offensive.
Yes, the Russian offensive in the east as well.
That stalled out a long time ago.
Yes. Let's move now back to the United States, where this year's Burning Man ended in absolute disaster.
Yeah, Charlie, you want to get some more details maybe on what Burning Man is and exactly what happened?
I don't know too much about what it is. I understand it's a festival that happens every year in Nevada. There's a lot of
the desert specifically.
In the desert specifically. I know actually I have a good family friend of mine who one of their relatives went. My friend's dad actually went down there as well.
This year?
But yes, this year. Luckily, he managed to escape before the really bad mud started. But
yeah, I mean,
yes, it rains
weather event
in a desert, and the desert in that region is made particularly out of a lot of clay. And clay, if you ever used clay before, when it gets wet, it is really sticky. So everything got stuck. The cars, the RVs, the tents, and the people.
Yeah, and it does look like people are now starting to be able to get out of there, which is obviously very good.
A lot of people are starting to be able to leave. However, they still may need to get some cranes out to that area in order to remove some vehicles that are now buried in the sand.
Yep. The horrifying incident there. Obviously, a lot of interesting weather events this year, especially in the southwest of the country. Come on, Charlie. Interesting news out of India, if we can even call it that anymore.
Yes, India is changing its name, I believe, at the G20 summit coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, and it seems to have been announced in like an invitation to the G20.
Yes, indeed it was. Sorry to anyone in India listening to this if I mispronounce it, but I believe that they're changing their name to Bharat or something similar to that.
Yeah. Do you know anything about why they might do this?
Well, I believe the move could possibly be because India was a name given to them by the British, and they want to have a name that more suits their people. I don't know the actual
Yeah.
reasoning. I think that would make quite a bit of sense. But as this goes on, we will give more updates on that. Now, here's a story for you. Imagine you're just driving down a road and you happen to look into the car next to you. There's a guy in the front seat, nothing wrong. And in the passenger seat, there's a bull. Yes, a bull.
And not just a small bull.
Nope, this was a big one. Colin, care to explain?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite stories I've heard in a long time, right? Sometimes the news is just dark, and sometimes you just need a story like this to brighten your day of just a guy driving through Nebraska, taking his pet Watusi Bull, out on a drive in a car that he had modified, fit the bull, sort of fit the bull because the bull doesn't fully fit in the car. His head and horns stick out through the top, and he was pulled over by authorities for I believe vision impairment for other drivers, but honestly, I mean, he ended up just going home with just a warning. But honestly, that's a pretty great story. It's one that I was surprised was not in Florida and was in Nebraska. But it's just a fun story, Charlie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was one of my favorite stories that I've seen in a very long time. Now let's move on to sports.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, a big sports section this week, as there often is on the C&C Talks podcast, and it'll only get bigger when the NFL season actually kicks off in earnest. NFL kickoff game should be on the day that we publish this podcast, coming up just a couple days from when we tape this, and cannot wait for that, Charlie. But we're going to start on
cannot. But first, let's get to college football, because wow, what a week one that was.
What a ridiculous week one that was. There's so many places that we could start, Charlie.
Let's start with Colorado.
Start with Colorado. All right, Deion Sanders. I doubted you, and I doubted your ability to turn around a 1-11 program.
And to be completely honest, I still have my doubts about the Colorado program. But Charlie, when you beat that team, TCU, the national runner-up last year, on the road, that's going to get the hype up, and it's going to get you into the rankings, as it should, and an incredibly impressive performance from their quarterback, who threw for, I believe, 510 yards, Charlie. This was ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. They also have that guy, someone who I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this college football season, who plays both defensive back and wide receiver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which, to be fair, if you have someone playing on both sides of the ball, that's probably the two best positions that most fit.
Oh, absolutely. Let's move next to LSU, which is on fire. Not in a good way.
No, so it really ties into a bigger theme, I think, with the SEC this week. LSU. They, to be fair, were playing a very tough opponent in Florida State. One of the most important matchups of the week, probably the most important matchup of the week. Whoever lost this game would probably have to win out to even have a chance at making the college football playoff. And LSU lost to Florida State, but they didn't just lose. They lost by 21, Charlie. This was an embarrassment. And it wasn't just LSU from the SEC that had embarrassing losses to in out-of-conference games. South Carolina, who obviously had that incredible end to the season last year. They beat Tennessee and Clemson in back-to-back weeks to finish off their regular season. Well, they just lost to UNC. And then Florida, They went into Utah, who obviously very, very good program there in Utah right now, but a whole ton of starters, including their star quarterback Cam Rising, were out. And Utah just buried them, Charlie. What's going on with the SEC? I guess it just means more.
Yeah, it really does. This is going to be a chaotic conference, and we're sure to be a chaotic year of college football.
Yeah, and then Charlie, there's one other game that I'm sure that you are absolutely thrilled to highlight from this week.
Colin, I'm gonna let you do it.
Okay, Dabo Swinney. What happened? What happened? You lost. You didn't just lose. You lost to Duke. And you didn't just lose to Duke. You lost to Duke by 21 points. Charlie, do you remember like 4 years ago when Dabo Swinney said that the day that players in college football are able to make money on NIL is the day that he will walk away from college football?
Yep, I do remember that.
Well, he clearly didn't mean it, but maybe he should have, because this is now going to be the third straight year that this team has an underwhelming season.
Yes, it will.
Obviously, Charlie, you though, you must be thrilled about what happened with the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, we won. No, we didn't die stupidly, which is what usually happens.
Yeah, a great game. I think, Charlie, tell me if you disagree. Two Heisman favorites right now are Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, no, absolutely. This is going to be a great Heisman race for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And let me just add one thing real quick before we move on from this college football segment. The Pac-12. The Pac-12, in what is going to be its last season, as far as we can tell, 10 of the 12 teams are going elsewhere, at least, at the end of the season. Through week 1, they're 13-0. No losses from 12 teams through 1 week. That is pretty impressive. And they have 6 teams in the new AP poll. USC, Washington, Utah, Oregon, Oregon State, and Colorado. It's not just, Charlie, that they're a deep team. They are a deep conference. They are a top-heavy conference.
Yeah, you really do have a couple of really good teams at the top and then some not so good ones everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the Big Ten, Charlie. It's Michigan, it's Ohio State, and it's Penn State. And who else? No one?
Yep,
Maybe
no.
Iowa? Pac-12 has 6 in the top 25 and the second team out in UCLA. ACC, what have you got? You've got Clemson, who's collapsed. You've got Duke, who might be okay, maybe. You've got Florida State, I guess. That's about it. Big 12, you've got Texas, who's leaving the conference next year anyway. You've got TCU, who's just been humiliated. But why is it that the Pac-12, Charlie, is the conference that's getting destroyed? I mean, I get that they made bad decisions in the league office, but it shouldn't have to come down to that.
No, but it will.
Money is not supposed to be the primary thing in college sports. And the fact that a bunch of people who already have as much money as they need can just decide that they don't want a West Coast conference because it's not going to be their best moneymaker is frankly disgraceful. And it's bad for the fans. It's bad for the student athletes. It's bad for everyone except for a few guys in suits and ties. I mean, Stanford and Cal are now going to have to, for every road conference game, travel all the way across the country. If you want to talk about giving these greedy millionaires, billionaires even, more money, they changed the rules in this offseason, Charlie. It used to be that for every first down, the clock would stop. And that was a great rule for college football because it meant more drives, more plays, more excitement. They got rid of the rule, and I understood why that they got rid of that rule. Games were already so long, they were going well past the windows allotted for them on TV. Now, personally, I thought that was much more because of the amount of commercial time in those games, which was ridiculous. But I understood why, and I understood that the networks weren't going to get rid of it. And it was the networks pushing for this change so that allegedly the games could get back in their windows so they didn't run into the next game's window. Well, that's not quite what happened because they changed the rules and they just replaced that time with more commercials. I mean, what are we doing here? Who is this benefiting? Because it's definitely not benefiting, Charlie, who it's supposed to be benefiting.
No, I think the higher ups at some of these schools and some of these conferences would be happy if it was just 3 hours of ads and no football.
College football has become so watered down.
All right, yeah, let's move on now to tennis.
Sure. All right. U.S. Open, really, really big week through the first 4 rounds. Really big week for the Americans on both sides. Obviously, the men haven't won Slam since 2003, Andy Roddick at the U.S. Open. Into the quarterfinals, they had 3 men, Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, and Taylor Fritz. And Coco Gauff now, a phenomenal chance to go on a run, win it all. After the quarterfinals, she's just got 2 matches to go. Just an incredible showing. Obviously, incredible stuff from Carlos Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, as always. Iga Swiatek, somewhat surprisingly, the number 1 woman, defeated early, which means Aryna Sabalenka will be the new number 1 in the world at the end of this tournament, regardless of whether she wins the U.S. Open or not. But an incredible first week of tennis. Obviously, we'll recap the later rounds on next week's show. And Charlie, quick, before we move on to what I know will be your favorite segment, Formula One. Charlie, we talked about the Women's World Cup quite a bit on this podcast.
Yes, we did, and the fallout of that is still going on.
So Spain, as we all know, won, but I don't remember if we talked about this on the show. But Jorge Vilda, the head coach, and also the president of the Spanish Football Association, they both did some very, very iffy things on the sideline after the game with, we'll say, kissing and touching their female players in ways that they definitely should not have been doing. We'll put it that way. And this was already after many, many complaints from several of the women about how they were treated by the head coach and the president of the Spanish Football Association. And these incidences that were on the sideline, these were on camera. If they're willing to do this on camera, what would they be doing off camera? Well, the good news is we might not have to know because Spain has now officially fired Jorge Vilda as their head coach. He is out.
Yeah,
Very
and for a team from a PR perspective, that was probably a good move.
Absolutely a good move. Absolutely. Well, of course, I don't know if we mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Vladko Andonovski, he is out as the U.S. women's national team head coach. Probably the right decision as well. The U.S. just didn't have it. We'll see in 2027 and obviously future non-World Cup tournaments. But now let's move on to your favorite.
Yeah, let's move to Formula One now, and then we'll close it out with that big NFL preview that we've been planning. So we had 2 more races. Can you guess who won? Because it was the same guy again. Verstappen has now broken Sebastian Vettel's record for most consecutive race wins with 10. So yes, if you're wondering, I am not even watching the races anymore. There's no point.
No, there isn't.
We've seen some good showings from McLaren and Ferrari as they continue to climb up the table. A couple of disasters from Aston Martin. They have fallen down. They're 4th now behind Ferrari and Mercedes. Mercedes still very consistent this year. But yeah, there's just not very much going on in the Formula One world right now. So it's really just waiting for the new Las Vegas Grand Prix and then just waiting for next season.
Yeah, so has Verstappen clinched yet?
No, I think he can clinch next race at Singapore on the 17th, as Red Bull can also win the Constructors' Championship at that race as well.
So I think is interesting. Obviously, Charlie, we've been seeing in the last couple of years a real growing fan base here in the United States for Formula One, and that's obviously helped by obviously the new race in Miami and now Las Vegas. Would you agree?
Yes, I would. Another huge contributing factor to Formula One growth in the United States was the Netflix documentary that they're doing, like Drive to Survive. That's a great show, by the way. If you want to get into the sport, I recommend you watch it. Not sponsored by Netflix. If you want, if you want to sponsor us, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The other big thing that they've been looking into as well is they are starting to question if Italy should have two races or not, either getting rid of either Imola or Monza. I imagine Imola would be the one to go, as that is a far less popular race. But the other consideration that would have to be made was, where do you put that other race? And my best guess would be that they would put another one in the United States.
So a fourth one.
Yes.
So what I think is interesting is that given that there's still two races this season, Charlie, in the United States, right? First in Austin and then in Las Vegas near the end of the season. I don't feel like that can be good for growing the sport in the United States if basically the championship is over by the time these races happen in the United States.
Yeah, I think it does kill fan atmosphere a little bit, but considering the fact that Red Bull will now no longer be taking any risks and most likely focusing on development, we may see some more wacky results in there as teams really are playing for just position in the championship at this point in the lower rankings. Teams are making gutsier decisions as we come down the wire. That's why the 2021 season was so fun. The title wasn't decided till the last race. Looking back on it, considering what we know now, I think probably, I know I said at the time I was happy Verstappen won. Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, and could he legitimately go on to win the next several?
We'll see. I think the big thing that we'll have to see is, can Red Bull stay dominant after the 2026 regulations, which is the huge question, but we'll see.
But that's still a ways away.
That is still a long way away, and I could see Red Bull just dominating the next few seasons as well.
Looking, Charlie, like your sport is not quite as interesting as mine.
No, for now, your sport is also more irrelevant.
Well, I don't know about that.
Is tennis growing? You can't
Probably.
imagine that it is.
There's a huge new generation of tennis stars out right now. We're talking Carlos Alcaraz, honestly has a chance to be one of the greatest players of all time. Obviously, whole ton of young Americans who have a chance. Coco Gauff on the women's side is the big one, and then Tiafoe, Shelton, Paul, Fritz on the men's side. So it's a huge chance, I think, for growth further in the sport, and that's not even counting some other international stars.
And I counter you with Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen.
But it's boring because Verstappen wins them all.
Well, how many wins does Novak Djokovic have?
23, but he doesn't win them all, and it's at least interesting.
Right? Verstappen doesn't win them all. Well, so far this season he has, but yeah, I see your point. But it won't stay like this forever.
Matches have been absolute masterclasses.
I have seen those. I have seen some of those. Those have been truly impressive. Last thing I do want to say about that is that there is a rumor that there could be a new track coming in seasons to come in Greece.
Really?
Yes, that's something that I just saw coming across in the last few days. But so we'll see if that is accurate or not. Let's move on now to the thing that everyone's been waiting for since we started the sports section. It's time for us to introduce you to the NFL thing we're doing this year. Colin, care to explain while we create a better name for it?
Yeah, so we are each going to be drafting half of the teams in the league. It's kind of like fantasy, except instead of with players, we're going to be doing it with teams, and we're going to do that draft right now, and then you get points based on how many wins the team gets and how far they go in the postseason. So you're going to get a point for every win that your team gets, and the point will be halved if there's ties, and then you'll get a point for making the playoffs, but a bonus point for winning the division, a bonus point for the number 1 overall seed, and then a point for every playoff win. except for the Super Bowl, Charlie, which should that be 2 points or 3 points? What do you think?
I think it should be 5.
I think that's a bit much.
Yeah, all right, let's do 3.
Yeah, we'll do 3 points for whichever team wins the Super Bowl, and how about 2 points for getting there?
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so and this is also just a great chance as we go through the draft, Charlie, to preview all the teams in the league and see kind of where they're at. So I have the number 1 overall draft pick. We're going to do a snake draft. So I'll have pick 1, Charlie 2 and 3. I'll have 4 and 5, so on and so on.
With the first pick in the NFL team draft, Colin selects.
I'm thinking about this. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, by the way, we should probably write this down somewhere.
I am. I'm writing it down. And I'm drafting the Eagles because, I mean, they have a couple question marks, but I do really think that they are a very, very well put together team, just like the Chiefs. I would have gone with the Chiefs, but I've just started hearing some stuff about Travis Kelce, and I'm wondering, is he going to be 100% at the beginning of the season? Could he injure that more? So, and obviously that's a crucial piece. So, kind of concerned about that.
The question is that defense, because they're missing a couple key pieces there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty high on the Eagles' new defensive rookies, even though I think that Jalen Carter has some question marks.
Yeah. All right. So I get 2 in a row here.
Yeah, and who's your first? And you got to explain your reasoning too.
I got to be real strategic with this. So I think this is interesting because I could go with the team from the AFC North, but you really essentially guarantee each of those teams has basically 3 losses guaranteed because of just how good all 4 of those teams are against each other. So this is difficult because when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about picking the Jets, but I'm not going to do that because they're going to explode. So give me, with the second pick, give me the 49ers.
Really? Why?
Yes. They're a very good team. I think if I'm trying to lock up a couple divisions here just by making some moves that I don't think are expected. I think this team is either going to win the division or make the playoffs at the very least. They have a great defense, really good receiving core. They have, if you can throw anyone at quarterback and they do really well there. If Brock Purdy improves, I really think that this team could win the Super Bowl potentially.
So here's an idea, okay?
Yep.
What if you added Patrick Mahomes to the 49ers? Have you just created the best team ever?
17-0 instant Super Bowl win.
Yeah, no, that would be quite a team. I do like the pick. I think that there's minimum 11 points there.
Yes, and this is going to be another one that surprises you.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it.
Third overall pick, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, you do have a thing with the Jaguars, Charlie.
I do, and last time it went really well. By the way, my friend made the same bet this year. This time he thinks the Titans are going to win that division.
Oh, no chance.
So he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong.
Admittedly, that's what we said. That's what we said last year about the Jaguars.
You did leave a pretty big one on the board, and I don't think it's fair to have the Kansas City Chiefs drop any lower than 4. They really are a great team. We'll see about Kelce. I do think he'll be fine.
And Chris Jones.
Yeah, just didn't want the risk of the Eagles going to you. But Chiefs and number 4. Now, number 5 is a tougher one, I got to admit. I was really hoping I could take the 49ers somewhere in here. That being said, I'm going to go AFC. And it's a loaded division, but I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think that they're the best team in that division, even with the Burrow injury.
Thank you. Colin, you just threw. Thank you.
How?
You threw that division at 6. Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Really? Okay, that's a...
Give me the Ravens. Dude, think about it. It's Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't get hurt, which he might. But
he will.
We'll see. If he has a season where he can at least play 13 games, he has... And his injury risks are lower because he doesn't have to run as much. They actually have a function...
Because
they have a functional receiving core. They have a functional receiving core for the first time, like, ever. They have a really good quarterback. They have a solid defense. And the Bengals always come out of the gate slowly. I have them losing to the Browns this weekend.
Yeah, and that's going to continue because the Bengals are without Joe Burrow.
Yeah, yes, they are. Plus, that defense can struggle at times, and if Joe Burrow does not have it, that offense can just fall apart. Plus, the division that they're in, just give me the Ravens. I believe in them this year.
You've convinced me. Can I trade picks?
No.
Oh, okay. Kind of didn't expect. So we've each made 3 picks. Charlie, you're up next with your 4th selection, at number 7 overall.
So here's something. Do I play for wins or do I play for divisions? Because my other idea is I could pick someone from a really bad division to have them win.
But you do that and you run the risk of them losing the division and then you get nothing.
Exactly. So that's I'm thinking both of us are going to avoid the NFC South for a while.
If any of their teams are picked in the top half, I'd be shocked.
Yes. So this is pick 8.
Pick 7 overall.
7. That's what I thought. Sorry. That's not what I thought. Okay. This is difficult. I'm trying to think of other teams. Like, do I risk it with the Dolphins? I know the Bills are still on the board, but I feel like they're a really big question mark this year. They could be really good, but they could also be really bad. But thinking about who else is in the NFC,
I mean, someone has to get those wins.
This is a tough choice.
Pick the Lions.
I was about to do it, but because you said that, and you're gonna think I'm insane, give me the Dolphins.
Really?
Give me the Miami Dolphins.
Is Tua not getting hurt again? Are we just pretending that he's a perfectly healthy player?
If Tua can stay healthy, I don't see any reason why that team cannot. They almost beat the Bills with a 3rd stringer.
So, who would have thought that the Miami Dolphins would be the first team to come off the board out of the AFC East? That is wild.
I did. I mean, think about it. The Jets are overrated, probably. The Patriots are a huge question mark. And the Bills, I feel like their window is over.
Really?
I do. Josh Allen's going to have a good series as always, but that defense has some holes in it still.
Sure.
They're one injury away from that defense completely falling apart. And you lose one guy on your offense. Like, if you lose Stephon Diggs, your season's over.
I mean, sure.
With the Dolphins, they're a very streaky team. I understand that. If Tua can stay healthy, which that's a question, they reloaded that defense as well. Plus, they have arguably a top 3 wide receiver core.
Sure.
Give me the Dolphins. And I'm assuming with the next pick, you're picking the Bills.
No, you left it open for me. I used a little bit of reverse psychology.
You're going with the Lions?
It's Lions time. That division is theirs for the taking. Now, knowing the Lions, they probably won't take it, but it's theirs for the taking. And they could have 10 wins, honestly.
All right, so who's your other pick then?
I think it will have to be the Arizona Cardinals. No, I'm kidding.
They're going to be the last pick, I'm sure.
So, which means that they'll still end up with me. But, I mean, the Bills are on the board. I got to take them.
All right.
Number 10, Charlie. 10th team off the board. Who is it?
I have to look at a list of teams now. Hang on. Yeah, this is the point where you really start to run out of options.
I mean, because there's at least 5 playoff teams left.
The entire NFC South is awful, so they're not going to come off the board. I can't see anyone going with the Bears or the Packers, the Rams or the Cardinals. The AFC is just so stacked. I think they have better teams, but I think those teams are going to lose more often because of it.
Can we just talk about what the record of AFC versus NFC is going to be this year, though?
So, hear me out.
Yeah.
I'm going with Seattle.
No, I think that's a great pick. I was going to take them in my next round if it got to me.
Okay, now here's the question. I'm gonna go with either the Eagles or the Cowboys. I just have to figure out which one is gonna be. Sorry, with either the Eagles or with Cowboys or Giants. I'm sorry. I just have to figure out which one is less awful.
Well, which one is more likely to advance in the playoffs is, I think, the better question.
Okay,
And
but
that's
here's
obvious.
if Dak if Dak did what he did last year, the Cowboys aren't gonna make the playoffs.
They weren't that bad. Or he wasn't that bad.
They got to the playoffs and immediately got embarrassed.
They beat the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they beat. Congratulations, you beat a 45-year-old at quarterback.
With no help from their kicker either.
I understand that, but still, it's the Buccaneers who are going to be like the 25th pick probably.
We'll see. It'll be funny if they are.
All right. This is challenging.
It is. But there's at least
and I'm
4
just going to
playoff
go with
teams.
a complete wild card here.
Yep.
This is a very young team. They have a young quarterback, a young wide receiver core, and a good defense. That's finally healthy. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
So I assume you're going to pick either the Cowboys or the Giants.
No, the Steelers is fair. They almost made the playoffs last year. You know that Mike Tomlin's going to have another winning season.
He's going to. Plus, that team's better than it was last year.
Absolutely, and especially with second year of Kenny Pickett, I expect that he'll be good. I don't know if he'll make the jump to elite, but he'll be good.
Pick the Broncos, Colin. Pick the Broncos.
So here's the thing: is I know that either I will have to end up with at least one of the Broncos and the Cardinals, and I can't. I cannot take the Broncos. Just like.
Are you taking the Cardinals now?
Why would I do that?
I don't know.
I'm not stupid.
I mean,
I'm not stupid.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay. I'm going to pick the team that has a lot of upside if they could fire their head coach.
You taking the Cowboys?
No, I'm taking the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, fair.
The worst head coach in the NFL, and it's not close.
Hey, Colin,
the playoffs for them twice.
Colin, they're gonna misclick the timeout button again and miss the playoffs.
They might.
All right, who's your next pick then?
Oh man,
we're running out of AFC options at this point.
I've got to go to the NFC, and if I'm going to go to the NFC, I got to take my second team from the NFC East, and I'm gonna take the Giants.
Really?
At pick number 13. The New York Giants are officially off the board. Can't wait to see what you do with 14 and 15.
All right. This is where things start to get really tough.
It is.
All right. So looking at the teams that are left, of like teams that can like theoretically make the playoffs, obviously we'll get to like the garbage time teams soon, but you have the Cowboys, you have the Vikings, you have the Patriots, the Jets. You know what?
The Rams, if they're healthy.
I'm going to take them off the board right now because otherwise I'm going to forget about them. Give me the Cleveland Browns.
That's a great pick. And so, at 14, that is a great pick. And
did you forget about them?
What?
Did you forget about them?
No.
Because I did.
No, I just am. I'm not going to take Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't want to, but I think I kind of have to. All right, now here's the question. It comes down.
Suspended again.
What?
What if he gets suspended again?
Well, then, I mean, it's Cleveland. It wouldn't surprise me.
Sure.
It's the Cleveland football team exploding again. Surprise? No.
No.
All right.
The AFC North is off the board, by the way.
Yeah, I know it is. So, I mean, we ranked them a few weeks ago as the best conference, so that doesn't surprise me.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, looking at who we have in the AFC left, we have the Titans, the Colts, the Texans, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Jets.
Yeah.
So the question is, here's what it comes down to me. Do I go with the Vikings, a team that I know can make the playoffs if they get really lucky, which is what happened last year? Do I go with the Cowboys and interception machine at quarterback and a pretty decent defense, but then again, it's Jerry Jones, so they're going to lose in the divisional round no matter what, even if they make the playoffs.
Yeah. It's a good question. Who are you going with?
This may surprise you. Give me the Patriots.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Give me the Patriots. They're I feel like this is like one of the most boom or bust picks. They're either going to do really well or not do well. But then again, it's the Patriots, so it wouldn't surprise me. Actually, I just realized
it was on Bill Belichick this year.
Hang on, I need to check what team Bailey Zappi signed with so I can draft them too.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're sad, aren't you?
Yeah, yes I am.
Yeah, what? Yeah, okay. Oh boy. Number 16. Final pick of the first round. Or sorry, of the first half.
First half.
Yeah, first half. And oh man, it's tough. I think that the next best option is in the AFC, but
Is it?
almost the entire board so far has been AFC teams, so I don't think I can take it. I think I got to go with the Vikings. Did you see them dropping in the first half?
I did, because that's another boom or bust pick. They'll either be really good or awful.
Yeah. So unless I'm mistaken, 10 of our first half picks were from the AFC. Number
Yes.
17. You ready for this?
Yep.
Gonna close off another division. I'm taking the Jets.
All right.
And I'm laughing at myself while doing it, but I'm taking the
Wait.
Jets.
You took the Jets?
Yes.
All right.
You were gonna take them, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. I'm actually very confused why you did that.
I get it, but I feel like there's at least some upside there, maybe.
You're picking the Vikings over the Cowboys.
Yeah, I am. I think you're gonna beat me, but I don't care.
I mean, I don't really care either, but so I think the AFC is really out of options at this point. So I'll take the Cowboys because, I mean, it just makes logical sense. They're really one of the only other teams in here that I can actually see having a winning record at this point.
Cowboys at 18. Yeah, that's a value pick at 18.
Now, this is the other question. Now this is teams where I feel like they could be decent if they have a good year. Like teams like the Rams, who are really injured. A team like the Commanders, who may be good. Maybe the Packers are good. Maybe the Bears. I think we're going to leave the AFC South, certainly. Maybe a team like the Broncos, but I just don't see it. The AFC East are off the board. The North's off the board.
Who is it?
Yeah, this is tough. You have the 49ers, right? No, I have the 49ers.
You have the 49ers.
If I pick the Rams, I basically guarantee an NFC West win unless the Cardinals come out of nowhere.
Yeah, you basically guarantee yourself a division point there. I haven't even thinking about that strategy.
Do I take the Rams? I think I will. Yeah, I'll take the Rams.
Basically locking up a division at this point. Basically, yeah. Pick number 20 belongs to me, and number 21. At some point, these AFC South teams and NFC South teams are going to have to come off the board. Not at 20, though. They don't have to come off the board at 20. Because the Bears are coming off the board at 20, folks.
Oh, really?
And I think I may have just locked up a division, unless the Packers can somehow win that.
Okay, so yeah, you have the Vikings and the Lions
And the Bears.
You do. I'll take the Packers anyway, but
It's not your pick.
I know. Well, when my pick comes around again, unless you pick them as well, which I wouldn't actually put that past you to do.
Oh boy. There's not a lot of good options left, though.
All
No.
logic points to you doing it. Just do it. Just take the Packers.
No. I'm gonna go ahead and I think maybe give myself another division unless the Cowboys can do something. Commanders.
All right. Wait, did you pick the Giants? Yes, you did.
I did.
Okay.
22, Charlie.
Okay, so here's the question. Essentially you already have the NFC North, so there's no real point in taking the Packers. So I won't.
I mean, they could get wins though, right? The division is only 1 point.
So I won't. I will take I'm gonna look back at this at the end of the season and be very sad. Give me the New Orleans Saints.
That's the first team off the board from the NFC South. The 7th division to have their first team off the board was the NFC North at 8. Now it's the Saints at 22.
Oh my god. Who's left?
You've got 10 teams left. You ready for the list?
Has anyone picked the Jets yet?
Yes, I did. This is the list. Cardinals, Buccaneers, Panthers, Falcons, Packers, Raiders, Broncos, Titans, Colts, Texans. That's who's left.
All right. So this is difficult because all these teams are really bad.
They're really bad.
I mean, this year, the difference this year between the good teams and the bad teams is very evident this year.
Absolutely.
So,
come on.
Who do I? Okay. I'm not gonna take. Do I take someone else from the South?
You probably should.
I should. Give me. I feel like you're gaslighting me though. I kind of want to take the Broncos, but I'm not going to.
Don't do it.
I'll take the Falcons. Yeah. No, I already have the Falcons. Well, no, I don't. Yeah, give me the Falcons.
That was my next pick, Charlie.
Because the Falcons have arguably one of, if not the best rushing attack in the league.
Yeah, no, that was my next pick. I'm very upset about this. Very, very upset about this.
So that leaves you with the Panthers or the Buccaneers in the NFC South.
Who says I have to go to the South? I want some guaranteed points. And I feel like a team that's going to give me at least a few wins, maybe 6 wins, is probably the Tennessee Titans.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I like that at 24.
All right, what's your next
pick? 25. Oh boy.
This is where it gets real difficult.
Panthers or Buccaneers is what I'm between.
Oh yeah.
Is Mike Evans still on the Buccaneers?
For now, yes.
I mean, they still have a receiving core, so I'm probably taking the Buccaneers here.
Who's throwing to them?
It doesn't matter. They have a couple good receivers.
Okay, do you think that Baker Mayfield can throw a good pass to anyone?
He played well with the Rams last year.
Okay, against the Raiders.
And against the Broncos. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
The Broncos defense was legit last year.
Yes, it was, except that wasn't the week that they were all injured for some reason.
That was Christmas.
Yes.
That's the game that Patrick Starr decided to roast Russell Wilson.
Yes. Okay, so you took the Titans.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll take the Texans.
There's upside there. I don't know if there's upside this year, but there's upside there.
I feel like that's at least 5-6 wins there.
Maybe, yeah.
At this point, it's just salvaging what you can get. I know who the last pick's going to be. So you picked the Buccaneers.
Yeah, Charlie, by the way, you are going to have to either leave me with the Broncos or the Cardinals, probably.
No, not necessarily. You don't know. I feel like there's a team worse than the Broncos that you're not remembering.
Is it the Raiders?
Yeah, yes it is. I'm gonna leave you with I don't know. Well, either way, I'll pick them up. So, all right. So here's the question. Actually, you know what? This is not a question. Give me the Panthers. They're the best team remaining.
They are. They really are. All right. I have 2 picks here. Then you have 2, and then I have 1 to close it out, and then that'll be a wrap on our long show. All right.
Yep.
And my options are the Colts, the Broncos, the Raiders,
and the Cardinals.
The Packers and the Cardinals.
I forgot the Packers are still on the board.
You left me with something at least. Packers.
I
Easy.
forgot they were on the board. That's unfortunate. I should
That
have remembered.
division's out now.
Yeah, you
But
have
by the
all
way-
the teams in that. You have all the teams in that division, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, the South went out before the North.
Oh my God, they did.
Okay.
Hang on. Who drafted? No, I have the Bears.
No, you don't.
Don't I?
No, you don't.
You do?
I have the Bears.
When did you get the Bears?
At 20.
Oh yeah.
I stole them at 20.
Yeah. When this is over, we should just do a draft recap before we end it.
Yeah, real quick. We'll do that. The Colts. I do have an interesting thought about the Colts because Charlie, I believe that they've made Anthony Richardson, their rookie quarterback, a captain, which says a couple things to me.
Yes.
Sure, maybe he's a great leader. Maybe. But it also, to me, says that there's a huge leadership void in that locker room.
Oh, absolutely.
If a rookie has to be the quarterback, and that is going to make me steer way clear of them and leave you with them, and I will do myself the misfortune of,
You
Nope,
Raiders
I've got to draft the Colts. Never mind, they're the best available.
Okay, Colin, by the way, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
I loved that move so much that I was genuinely going to draft the Cardinals instead just to give you the Colts.
You love what so much?
I liked the fact that you didn't draft them there so much that I was going to give you them.
Yeah, well, now you're left with the Broncos and the Raiders, and I assume that that's who you're taking.
I am going to go with possibly one of the stupidest ideas I've ever had.
Yeah.
Give me the Broncos and the Cardinals.
Which order?
Broncos at 30, Cardinals at 31, which leaves you with the Raiders.
I have the Raiders. I actually do think that taking the Cardinals is smart because NFC's a lot less loaded than the AFC.
Forgot that. No, but you have Josh Jacobs.
And that's one bleep.
Oh, yeah, whoops.
That's okay. First bleep in the history of the podcast. That'll be fun.
Oh, we have to do that now because now we can actually have ads. Not on YouTube,
Yeah.
though.
Correct. We do actually have to bleep it. So we'll do that. All right. And then, yeah,
All right,
32
quick draft recap.
is the Raiders. You want the recap?
Sure.
All right. Just want me to go 1 through 32.
Yes, but to say who drafted who, though.
All right. I took at number 1, I took the Eagles. 2 and 3 was Charlie's 49ers and the Jaguars. Took the Chiefs and Bengals at 4 and 5. Charlie went with Ravens and Dolphins 6 and 7. I went with Lions and Bills. Charlie went Seahawks and Steelers. I went Chargers and Giants. Charlie went Browns and Patriots. I went Vikings and Jets. Charlie went Cowboys and Rams. I went Bears and Commanders. Charlie went Saints and Falcons. I went Titans and Buccaneers. Charlie went Texans and Panthers. I went Packers and Colts. Charlie went Broncos and Cardinals. And I went with the Raiders. Not that I had much of a choice.
All right. Well, comment if you're watching this. Comment who you think had a better draft.
Yeah, and we'll keep you updated throughout the season, and obviously on our social media. But Charlie,
We should determine, by the way, what does the winner get?
oh, that's a good question. We'll have that for you next week.
All right. Well,
Yep, that's gonna do it for this week of C&C Talks. So make sure you subscribe. Episodes usually on Wednesdays, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Our website, cctalks.net, has more stuff that you need to know about the show. And of course, you can call us with questions as always at 360-389-2630. Again, that's 360-389-2630. We'd love to hear from you guys. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at CC Talks Podcast, and also follow Charlie at CC Talks Charlie. I said Twitter. It's not. Whatever. I don't care. For our producer Morris, production designer Zach, and our sound designer Drake, I'm Colin.
and I'm Charlie. See you next week.